Before you watch this episode of our cityCURRENT radio show, I want to invite you to join cityCURRENT's e-learning and online personal development platform called GrowthCurrent. I'm Jeremy Park, host of the cityCURRENT radio show and CEO of cityCURRENT. GrowthCurrent is your exclusive ticket to attend virtual events with global thought leaders, national guest speakers, and experts who can help you grow personally and professionally. It gives you access to success secrets, lessons learned, learning modules, and so much more. Being online, you can join us from anywhere in the world. Subscriptions are only $8 a month, or you can do bulk subscriptions for your team. Check out growthcurrent.com to learn more and to join us in our efforts to power the good. And now, on to the show. Welcome back to the cityCURRENT radio show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're honored to be with our good friend, our next guest, Kayla Rodriguez Graff. She is the co-founder and CEO of SweetBio. So this interview is going to be extra sweet. So Kayla, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
Very, very well. So love you and your company, your family. So much good that you do, not only with your company, but pouring back into the community. So thank you for all you and your team. And like I said, your family do for our community. But let's start SweetBio. Give listeners a little bit of a backstory there, because for you and your brother, it's a family adventure, but obviously now it's grown so much bigger. So give us a little bit of history lesson for SweetBio.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're definitely the sweetest company around, pun intended. So we're a Memphis-based medical device company. We started in 2015, so it's been a 5-year journey, and it was born out of this idea that honey is this incredible material that's been used for healing since the Egyptians. But it is messy, it's short-term, and it's topical. So the world is suffering. There are millions suffering from these hard to heal wounds. How could we take materials that we all know and can understand, honey, and use it to treat these tough wounds, kind of going back to the basics, going back to nature and finding superior outcomes. And so that was the audacious idea that founded the company. And in that time, it was a biomedical PhD who came to the University of Memphis and was tasked with this challenge. Let's create something, extraordinary from this material. And what came out of it was the first of its kind patch, a solid patch that uses gelatin and honey combined to be able to help progress these tough wounds through healing. And so I got a phone call in 2015 because that biomedical PhD is my brother. And he said, "Hey, Kayla, I have this great product. We have, I've got folks who think it would be great in the market, but you're the business person that I know. Tell me, do you think this is going to be good?" I'm like, well, I can't pronounce half the things. When he first gave me that pitch, no idea what they meant. But I said, do you think that there's other people that would buy this? Do you think we can make it for less than we sell it? Is it an actual business? Can we get a patent, et cetera? And so when we ask those questions, and I'll fast forward through the journey and we can continue to unpack it if you like. But 5 years later, we've now successfully achieved patents here and in Europe and pending in 8 other countries. We have achieved FDA clearance, so navigating the federal system for a medical device to be cleared for sale for use in 9 different wounds indications. And we are achieving early sales. So we're actually doing what we set out to do, which is to help our loved ones heal. So to see people get back on their feet again after getting treatment from our product, it's really just bringing to life all the energy and passion that we poured into this. It's all starting to come through fruition. So it's a wonderful time in our company's history now to be able to say, we're helping people actually heal today.
Absolutely. And there's so many nuances to this. One is it's a medical grade Manuka honey, so it's a special honey. 2 is, to your point, you found a way to make it accessible, controllable. And so I want you to talk about the product, the actual product. And then 2, when you look at where you're located in Memphis, the startup entrepreneurial community coming around you and supporting you and really helping, but also 2, in the biomedical hub, really perfect place for you to be in terms of opening doors of relationship and opportunity to create these, these next opportunities. So talk about some of those major pieces. 1, the actual product. So go ahead and talk about the actual product.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wrote notes just in case I forget. Lesson in life, don't rely on your memory. So our product is a 1 inch by 1 inch patch. It behaves like a replacement to your skin. So when you have a bad wound, I'm not talking a paper cut, I'm talking an ulcer, like a diabetic ulcer or a surgical site after you've had a foot and ankle procedure. When you have a wound that you know is stuck and not healing, or you need to close it to reduce your risk of infection, this is where we come in. So we are a solid sheet that goes on top of that wound, and it's got this triple action component that the industry's never seen. So the first is what we've been able to see in the lab is we actually bring down bacteria. The second is we help reduce inflammation. And the third is we tell the body it's time to release growth factors and rebuild. And so having those three things in one, it's really the first time that we've been able to have a multi-action effect and move the wound through its complicated cycle on a path where it needs to be. And so to do that, we use Manuka honey, this medical grade honey. It comes out of New Zealand and it's been proven for decades, honey for centuries, Manuka honey for decades, about its incredible medicinal properties, including the fact that it is antibacterial and effective against MRSA. So it's incredible stuff, and in small amounts, it works really well. And so that's what we've been able to incorporate in this technology. So again, it's tough wounds, and we're seeing, typically it takes a couple months to close a wound on its own, and we're seeing a couple weeks. So the results have been extremely exciting. We're also learning from the market now that we're there. Where do we go from here? Bigger wounds? Do we need stronger products, et cetera? So there's just, again, there are millions that are suffering, and it's only exponentially growing with the aging population, the diabetic population, orthopedic procedures. So we're now laser focused on growing this first product, but figuring out what's next.
Yeah. Now talk about relationships, because paramount to that success is really the support of being able, when you talk about FDA clearance and all these things, navigating that, having a support network and mentors, but then also too, bringing the product to fruition. And when you look at the hospitals and the medical relationships, once again, back to Memphis and the area really being, relationship driven, that has opened new doors of opportunity. So talk about relationships.
Yeah, I mean, when you start a medical device company, no one told me I would be basically working for the federal government. I think I touched the FDA, Center for Medicare and Medicaid, the USPTO, the Patent Office, the Grants Office. It's unbelievable. And so I came from corporate retail. I worked at Target for 6 years and got my MBA in disruptive business models. Nothing to do with the medical field. If you would have asked me about tissue regeneration, I would have said, bless you, So what's been really interesting is we've had to navigate, how do you design packaging that's compliant? How do you assess a reaction to sensitivity with your product? How do you label it? And to learn all those things, we went through the medical device accelerator in Memphis, and I moved from San Francisco to Memphis because of that accelerator, because Memphis is the #2 medical device community in the nation, and medical devices are the #1 export for the state. I mean, the knowledge that's here is remarkable. We have St. Jude that's doing obviously cutting edge research, but Medtronic and Smith & Nephew and Wright and Microport, and then 40 medical device companies. So to have an accelerator laser focused on this industry and navigating the federal regulations is important, because we learned really on what can we do and what can't we do. And so what's nice is that every stage there's been this support. We came out of the University of Memphis. We're now housed at the University of Memphis. We needed a place to put our business, and they built us an office, right? That is true partnership and collaboration. That's uplifting the community. We needed a place to go to be able to assess, are we more effective in diabetic ulcers or venous ulcers? Regional 1 steps up and says, sign me up. We will be the place. We have so many of these wounds. You're cleared and safe. So this is not experimental, but we can be your soft launching pad. And so from whether it's the startup, is this idea probable? Does it have a likelihood to pass some of these really big hurdles, to, okay, you're growing. You need to live somewhere that's safe and that is supportive. And by the way, with the university, we can figure out how you can get access to the lab at affordable rates. And then, all right, now you're getting into the market. This is what commercialization looks like. Let's go ask those safe questions like, what does a purchasing manager expect, et cetera. So, I mean, from all aspects, it's not just about starting up, it's about growth and then exponential growth after that. Resources are here to be able to make it happen. And we couldn't do this alone. Both, you know, the founders, we came from no background in this. So it's because of the environment we've been around that's allowed this to get SweetBio where we are today.
I think that's something that entrepreneurs often overlook is the power and the necessity of relationships. And so everything that you're talking about really is a product of the relationships and you going back to community, pouring into the community and building trust, which then means that people want to work with you because they see how hard you work, not only in your company, but in the community. Carry that forward because we're coming up, it's been a year anniversary, but you had a chance to go to the Senate and present and be a part of a powerful group of women entrepreneurs. Talk about that vantage point of you being a woman in this industry, an entrepreneur, a CEO. Talk about navigating family and business and all of this together.
Yeah, well, we could be here all day, so I'll be succinct. You know, starting a company with my brother is very interesting. A lot of people tell me one of us would not survive if they were in my boat. And, you know, my brother and I took 10 years off, and we highly respect. And if you met my brother, you would say he's the nicest human being, and you would never know he's a scientist. He's just brilliant and kind. And so it makes it very easy to work with him. But we are incredibly aligned with where we're going. And that's the first. If anyone asked me for advice on, you know, getting into business with family, I would say, make sure you're aligned. You can argue and you can be in disagreement, but you have to be aligned with where the ship is going because that's how you make decisions. But it did cause some really interesting behaviors at the beginning of the company. You know, is this a family business? No, this is a high growth startup with exit potential. Would you ask that question if it was brothers? I mean, if the Musk brothers got into, you know, a business together, would anyone question if it was a family business or high growth? And so we started to get these questions, and then I would get, hey, I'll answer your co-founder and not you when you ask the question. And so it was very interesting behavior up front being a young woman in this space because there just aren't very many. I come to find out, I believe, and I'm still fact checking this, that I've raised more I'm the highest raising female Hispanic CEO in the state of Tennessee, and maybe the highest raising female Hispanic CEO in medical device in the country. And that's abysmal because I've raised $4 million, which is amazing, but billions of dollars are raised. And so there's so much to be done. And early on, and the reason why I go a little bit on this soliloquy is that I recognize that there needs to be more visibility to people like me. I need to be out there advocating for this. And so whether it was involvement in, Epicenter, joining the board of Epicenter, or Life Science Tennessee, joining the board there, or just serving wherever we could so that people could see me, or if it was pitching and serving on panels. Well, I've been pregnant twice during fundraising, so that people can see, especially the next generation, that you can be Hispanic, a woman, pregnant, a mom, and do this. And, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Justice Ginsburg, she says, you can do it all, just not really all at the same time. And life's one great balancing act. That's Dr. Seuss, right? But to actually show that it's possible has been a charge of mine for the last couple of years. And so when I was asked to go to the Senate and to have that conversation, which is, what is it like being a female entrepreneur in the United States? And the reality is there are difficulties. And the reality is also that women are being impacted more during COVID right now. And it's just a very interesting conversation that's happening at the highest levels. And to have that avenue and that venue and that visibility on it, I highly appreciate. But we have to continue the conversations at the local level and make sure that we're supporting the communities. But that to me is my other job outside of, number one, raising my handsome little boys. Number two, SweetBio, and number three is serving in any way I can to keep up the hope and the excitement that other women can do it too.
Yeah, about to say, you've been a tremendous asset for others. And even on my end, I send entrepreneurs to you all the time who have questions, because it's like, look, she's a wealth of information and can guide you. And you've been a mentor to so many. Talk about right now, you're in a mode of growth. And so you're looking to raise money. And a big piece of that is reaching out to also more women investors. And so when you talk about kind of strategically now getting more women to be a part of this and opening the floodgates, that's a piece of even current, what your goals are. So talk about where you are with SweetBio now, raising money and looking at investors.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've spent the last 5 years laying the foundation to become a medical device company, meaning actually being able to sell a product. We've now crossed some of those biggest hurdles, which is FDA clearance and the patent, and being able to navigate hospital systems. We got listed on the Veterans Affairs national supply schedule, which is fantastic. We have our first randomized clinical trial starting at Vanderbilt, which is remarkable to have them as a partner. So we're checking off some of these huge boxes, and we're getting ready to grow. So the next stage for us is we have validated our product, we've validated full-scale manufacturing, we've validated our market. It's now validating our sales strategy. So for the next 12 months, we have a tactical plan of, this is our sales model, we are implementing it, and we are starting to scale it and prove that this works, so that next year we'll raise a larger round to be able to just accelerate that, as well as launch new products. So we are currently fundraising, and I'll tell you, I took a look at our cap table, and as much as I'm an advocate for women and women starting businesses, the number of women investing is low. It's remarkably low. Most of the time, angel investors especially are men, and they're typically funding male-led companies. And so I have taken a bit of a personal charge to go find more women, even if they are smaller amounts, to get involved, to support women-led companies or support male companies. Just get involved. One of our funders is the Jump Fund, and they are a collection of women funding women, but they're localized, and I'm trying to activate more. And so my charge right now is to have our investor base reflect what we want the world to look like, to have this representation of investors that, look like what I talk about, I try to talk about on a daily basis. So my goal right now is outreach and to talk with more women. And even if they're just interested in learning more, have us as a bit of a example to ask the questions. Don't even invest, come talk to me, so that we can just activate more women in this charge.
We were talking off camera, off mic, about how you're mentally working through the pandemic, and you are now a journalist. So you weren't before, but you now are. And you were talking about the simple things of just, I've got to make a note to make my husband or my children smile. Carry that forward for the audience in terms of just how you're dealing with this and the simple things like that keep you in check and ground you.
I mean, this pandemic, the social unrest, everything that has hit us in 2020, I consider myself unbelievably fortunate to have a job and to be healthy, just at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's where we're at. It's just, my family is safe and we are okay. And I know that that is a luxury, and I don't take it for granted. We try to continue our life as usual. I think those who are, as I feel like you and I are very similar, just passionate and motivated and cranking through life and making progress. And we now do it in a new way that causes a different level of load, I think, on us mentally and probably physically too. And so when everything happened in March, and then it continued into April and into May, and the days started rolling together, I realized I'm grinding, I'm exhausted, I'm worried. I want to make sure that, I'm responsible for my team. I want to make sure that they're okay and healthy and safe. I'm responsible to deliver fiduciary returns to my investors. I want to make sure SweetBio is safe and healthy. And I also need to make sure that my family is safe and healthy. And what I decided to do is someone got me a 100-day journal, and in it every day it asks, what are you grateful for today? and what do you want to accomplish today? And I realized just the simple things of, you know what, I just want to make my kids smile today, because I grind every day and it's easy to give my all to the business and have nothing left in the gas tank. And so whether it's, you know, I want to tell a joke today, or I want to make sure that I hold my 9-month-old for, you know, a little longer tonight, and then write about what I enjoyed at the end of the night, those are things that I appreciate so much more. And I intentionally get to write the date every morning when I wake up to say, you know what, this is a new day. We can get up and we can start a new day. And I have the ability to make this a great day. And am I 100% great at that? No, let's be very real. But I am marking the passing of time because it's running together, and trying to make sure that joy isn't lost, and that, you know, I can manage burnout as much as possible. But I highly recommend it to anyone who needs a little bit of a break or a change of pace. Write down the little things, because they start to add up.
This is one of those conversations we could go on and on and on. So we'll have you come back and share more, because I think it's important, not only on the business side, but just for you as an entrepreneur and everything that we talked about as, you know, a women-led company, as a Hispanic, you know, woman leading a company, a medical device company. Like, there's so many nuances that you're experiencing every day that others are struggling with. And so you being a light for them is extremely important. But wrap up and talk about website, social media. Where do we go to follow SweetBio and get to know you better?
Yes. So our website is sweetbio.com. We're currently actually looking for sales support in the field. So if there's anyone out there that is in your space, we would love to talk to you. So sweetbio.com. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at SweetBioCo. And I'm on LinkedIn at, I think it's LinkedIn, Kayla Rodriguez. You can find me. Kayla Rodriguez Graff is my full name when you see it on there. But I'd love to connect, and yeah, grateful for the opportunity. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Kayla, thank you for you and your team. All you do, greatly appreciate it. Thank you for being a part of the show.